The Law of Attraction Puzzle. Why the Pieces Don't Fit. And 8 Dynamic, Real-World Strategies to Click Them into Place. By Cary David Richards. Why I wrote this book. The universal law of attraction may not be what you thought it was. One of the main purposes of my website, http://www.improvedmindpub.com, as well as in much of my writing, is to bring some down-to-earth, actionable information and clarity to what popular culture has labeled the law of attraction. This is a subject that has gained a somewhat dubious reputation over the years as being filled with hype, fluff and pseudoscience. There are lots of hucksters and marketing gurus online who are simply out to vacuum your wallet. They pick a subject like the law of attraction because they know that people are yearning for success in their lives and are willing to pay for information that they believe can bring them closer to a universal mind-body-spirit connection that will allow them to manifest their wants and desires. Some people, securely grounded in reality, refuse to acknowledge the subtle but very powerful forces that are at work every day in our lives. Others are willing to acknowledge the fact that there is an intangible force that draws things to us or repels them away, but have not been able to access the levers and dials of the law so as to make it a functioning part of their lives. Many of us have had experiences with synchronicity and coincidence that at times goes unnoticed, but if paid attention to can act as the signposts and on-ramps to attracting wealth, peace of mind and most anything else we fervently desire. My intention is to provide you with simple, proven, actionable methods and approaches to accessing what some call New Age thought, but what are really age-old theories of spirituality and simple truths. These concepts can help with things like goal setting, peace of mind and the attraction of the things you truly desire. The information detailed in this volume has been gained from years of practice and study. It has helped immensely in my own life. I offer the strategies and techniques contained herein with a sincere hope that they will be of benefit to you and yours. Don't take my word for any of the approaches and/or systems in this book. Try them. Put them to work with some intention and an open mind and be aware of the results. Then judge for yourself. Perhaps you have attracted this book in some way. I would love to hear from you. Let me know how this information has helped you. Feel free to ask questions and/or raise concerns. My contact info is located at the end of the book. Sincerely, in acceptance and peace, Cary David Richards. Cary and Jeannie on a cruise to the top of the world. Just a quick note. It's my pleasure to bring this work at a reduced price. If when you get done reading it you find the information in this book has been helpful, I'd like to ask you for a quick favor. Could you take a few seconds and leave a short review at Amazon? As an author, I depend on a large quantity of quality reviews for my books. This kind of feedback helps tremendously in enabling me to bring you and other readers the best information I possibly can. I have included the link to the review page at the end of the book, and I'll throw it in right here as well for your convenience. Click here. http://improvedmindpub.com/lorview. Enjoy your free gift. As a way of saying thanks for your purchase, I'm offering a free book that is exclusive to my readers. Many people are interested in tapping into the power of the law of attraction, but they just don't know how to get started. That's why I wrote 7 daily habits that turbocharge the law of attraction. This lengthy report, over 13,000 words, contains instruction on how to develop the most efficient daily habits that will enable you to energize the law of attraction in your life. Click the link below to download your free ebook. http://www.improvedmindpub.com. Introduction. The possible is probable. Create the kind of self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny, inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement. Golda Meir. Many people get up every morning and go about their day without thinking much about the universe we live in. They fight traffic to a job they dislike or, in some cases, outright hate. They maneuver through their day feeling stressed out and depressed, wondering why they can't get ahead, or even worse, feeling like a victim and having no idea how to get out of the trap they have gotten themselves into. Does this sound familiar? It is so easy to get into the habit of thinking that what we are currently experiencing is reality and that there is nothing much we can do about it. Feeling stuck and helpless, we are tossed on the sea of circumstance like a tiny cork, waiting for the next big wave of disaster to wash over us. Well, I have some good news, and I have some bad news. Are you ready? The bad news is that you are the creator of your own reality. What you have been thinking, focusing on, and having feelings about has drawn into your life whatever current situation you are experiencing. For you, that may be bad news. However, please do not feel bad or beat yourself up about this information, because this is also the good news. That's right. The good news is that you are the creator of your own reality. Because you are the creator of your own reality, by learning how to grab the levers and dials of the subtle but very real and powerful force that governs what popular culture has labeled the law of attraction, you can create the reality you desire right now, today. You don't need money. You don't need to study for years or become an expert or a master at anything to begin creating what you want right now. This law has always existed. It is universal and timeless. Mystics and religious leaders have known about and tapped into its energy for thousands of years. Many powerful leaders, captains of industry, movers and shakers, scientists, and clergymen, as well as self-made millionaires and people of success in all walks of life, have used this law since time began. Some blissfully unaware that they were tapping into its influence, others purposefully using it as a tool to help them create their empires. Because we need to call it something, and because it seems like the thing to do these days, we'll call it the law of attraction. It doesn't matter what you call it. All that matters is that it exists, is working in your life day and night whether you know it or not, and is there waiting to grant you whatever you desire. If we did all the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astonish ourselves. Thomas A. Edison. We live in a very small corner of an unimaginably huge universe. Can you say infinite? This universe is itself what physicists have called a field of potentiality. As we go along in this book, we will touch on what quantum physicists have recently been discovering about this field and how it relates to the law of attraction. The field of potentiality and the laws that govern it have nothing to do with any religion or belief system. Some people call the field God. Some call it Source, and others don't call it anything at all. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it, and it doesn't matter whether you're Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, or you simply worship your dog as the second coming. These laws are irrefutable and work irrespective of your religious beliefs. You are probably reading this because you have tried to access this law and have not noticed a whole lot of results. There are some very specific reasons why people don't experience the benefits of the attractive nature of the field. We will examine these reasons and explain how simply and effectively you can change your habits and routines so that you can effortlessly tap into the source that is all around you. This source is either drawing things to you or pushing things away from you every minute of every day. It never stops. And there are some very simple things you can start doing today that will help guide and direct that source to bring the things that you desire into your life. We'll talk about how the subconscious mind is connected to the field and how images and thoughts properly planted in the subconscious cause that image or thought to manifest into reality. I don't know how exactly this works, and neither does anybody else. All I know is that it does work and can work for you if you follow a few simple principles. We'll also cover the one thing that nobody usually talks about when they try to explain the law of attraction. The universal field works on a principle of give and take. There is a proven law of physics that says that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When attempting to implement the law of attraction, you must also keep in mind the law of repulsion. If you have been attempting to utilize the attractive force of the field and have not been experiencing results, it may be because of this universal repelling force that you must learn to minimize before the attractive force can be properly implemented. Belief is one of the foundations of this universal law. Your beliefs shape your reality. We all tend to think that our reality is set in stone. We will talk about what and how you believe and discuss ways to reshape your reality if that's what you desire. Your emotions play a huge part in attracting or pushing away the things that you desire. They are the signposts that tell you when you are out of alignment with the universal law. They are also the catalyst that energizes the field of potentiality to draw the things you desire to you. There are those that would tell you that the law of attraction will work for you while you sit on your couch and watch TV all day. I am here to inform you that unfortunately, that's not how the universe functions. Sorry for being so blunt, but this is one of my pet peeves. Sitting and waiting for the money bird to drop a bag of $1,000 bills on your head, or for Brad Pitt to ring your front doorbell, or whatever it is that you are trying to attract, just isn't going to work very well. Action energizes and directs the law of attraction. You must take the first steps, and when you are moving, the universe is there waiting to help you navigate and will place signposts, ladders, and shortcuts in your path to help you get to where you want to go. I want you to know that you are the pride and joy of the universe and that your natural state is one of perfect vibrational balance with Source. You carry within you the seeds of unlimited potential waiting to be simply and easily sprouted into the mighty oak of abundance, prosperity and joy. You were not meant to fret away your time on this earth worrying over petty concerns and difficulties, real or imagined. You deserve abundance and happiness. All I need from you is an open mind and a willingness to step into the future with a loving and courageous attitude. The field of unlimited potential is laid out before you like a freeway to the land of all you desire, and there is an on-ramp with your name on it. Ready? Let's go. Required legal mumbo-jumbo. No part of this publication may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical or electronic, including photocopying or recording, or by any information storage and retrieval system, or transmitted by email without permission in writing from the publisher. While all attempts have been made to verify the information provided in this publication, neither the author nor the publisher assumes any responsibility for errors, omissions, or contrary interpretations of the subject matter herein. This book is for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the author alone, and should not be taken as expert instruction or commands. The reader is responsible for his or her own actions. Adherence to all applicable laws and regulations, including international, federal, state, and local governing professional licensing, business practices, advertising, and all other aspects of doing business in the U.S., Canada, or any other jurisdiction is the sole responsibility of the purchaser or reader. Neither the author nor the publisher assumes any responsibility or liability whatsoever on the behalf of the purchaser or reader of these materials. Any perceived slight of any individual or organization is purely unintentional. I sometimes use affiliate links in the content. This means if you decide to make a purchase, I will get a sales commission. But that doesn't mean my opinion is for sale. Every affiliate link is to a product or service that I've personally used and found useful or thoroughly researched and believed to be of high quality. Please do your own research before making any purchase online. Chapter 1: The Beach Boy Principle. It's all about good vibrations. Matter is really nothing more than frozen light. Physicist David Bohm. Science is in the process of verifying what ancient mystics and spiritual teachers have known for centuries. With that in mind, as well as an understanding that your eyes may glaze over a little, I'd like to take just a few minutes and touch on some scientific principles that form the basis of the information in this book. At an atomic level, everything that we experience as reality, your house, your car, the trees in your backyard, the reading device you are holding in your hand, everything solid in your world is 90% nothing. If the nucleus of an atom in the couch you're sitting on was the size of a basketball sitting at the center of a basketball court, the electrons circling it would be the size of golf balls, and their orbits would be outside of the building. Let your mind picture that for a minute. That's a lot of nothing. It gets even weirder at the quantum or subatomic level. It has been an accepted fact for decades that subatomic particles only spring into existence when they have been observed or measured. Until then, they are nothing more than pure potentiality, waves of energy waiting to spring forth and become what you observe them to be. There have been experiments as far back as Einstein that show that these subatomic particles are connected by some mysterious unseen force that can communicate information faster than the speed of light. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance and maintained that it was impossible based on what physicists knew about quantum theory at the time, even though all the experiments showed that it was actually happening. Today, this phenomenon is called entanglement and is still confusing and confounding scientists. Here's a brief excerpt from the Wikipedia definition. It thus appears that one particle of an entangled pair knows what measurement has been performed on the other, and with what outcome, even though there is no known means for such information to be communicated between the particles, which at the time of measurement may be separated by arbitrarily large distances. What is this unknown means of communication? This spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it? Nobody really knows yet. At least, physicists don't have a name for it yet. Mystics and spiritual teachers have known about it for centuries. You might call it God consciousness or simply the field of pure potentiality. It's not my intention here to get into a deep theological debate. Simply know that there are forces at work in the universe and in your life that go beyond your everyday perception of reality, and that there are ways of making use of these forces to attract the things you want. With a nod to the Beach Boys, it's all about good vibrations. One of the latest theories of quantum physics is something called string theory, which is so new that it is still a work in progress and is so out there that they really don't have a way of quantifying or verifying it yet. String theory, sometimes called the theory of everything, basically maintains that everything in the universe is made up of unimaginably small vibrating filaments, or strings, of energy. The frequency and the amplitude of these vibrations apparently determines what a given subatomic particle becomes, a boson, a fermion, or a neutrino for example. These particles are of course the building blocks of atoms, and how atoms are constructed determines whether something is a rock, a tree, or a human. So as you can see, it all comes down to vibrations. It is becoming a scientifically proven fact that at the most fundamental level, how something vibrates determines what it is in our reality, and that we are all vibrationally connected with everything and everyone. Now, I'm not a physicist and don't even play one on TV. This is a very limited sort of man-on-the-street discussion of quantum physics, which is a subject way beyond the scope of this book that has filled entire libraries with in-depth information. However, even though the physicist can't come right out and say it, I think one thing has become clearer and clearer as we rush headlong into the 21st century. The ancient mystics and teachers were onto something. The universe is a living, vibrating, conscious entity made up of a field of potentiality. This field, sometimes referred to as the quantum field, pervades everything, including the sun, the stars, our planet, right down to little old you and me sitting in our living rooms. This field of pure potential is what connects us to every other living thing in the universe, as well as the rocks, the trees, and the air we breathe. The field consists of waves of possibility. We connect to this field through our subconscious minds, with the understanding that we live in a vibrating, pulsating, intelligent universe, and that your thoughts have a certain vibration to them. You can readily see how getting your thoughts into a vibrational balance with the things that you desire can draw those things to you. Like attracts like. Because your thoughts and feelings vibrate at certain frequencies, they either draw towards you or repel away from you the things you want in your life, whether that is money, a new relationship, happiness, or simply a parking spot in the next block. The problem is that many of us have thoughts that are so scattered and random and have had no practice and or instruction on how to direct them properly, that the field of potentiality, which is patiently waiting to grant your every wish, can do nothing but drum its fingers on the table and wait for you to make up your mind. Your thoughts create the reality you are experiencing. By properly directing and focusing your thoughts with consistency, then backing them up with action, you can literally draw the things you truly want and desire towards you. This is what has become known in popular nomenclature as the law of attraction. You may have attempted to implement the law of attraction. You also may have met with what you perceive to be little or no results. I understand because I've been there. I spent several years reading books and listening to tapes on not getting what I thought was a lot of quantifiable results. Patience Grasshopper. I love the old Kung Fu TV show. This book is here to help. For now, just know that the law of attraction is not something you turn on or off. It is always there working for you, or sometimes it seems against you. It has always been there and always will be. It's simply a matter of understanding how to direct it and begin attracting the stuff you really want instead of randomly accepting the stuff that it has attracted for you. One thing I'd like to invite you to do is start noticing when things happen to you, good or bad, and see if you can connect the dots. You might start to notice that the law has been working for or against you all along, and it's just a matter of focusing it a little better on the things you really want. Wherever you are in your life, whatever you have or don't have, you have attracted it and are continuing to attract it as we speak. You are also repelling those things that are not in vibrational alignment with what you truly are. There is no need to fully understand the scientific principles at work in order to redirect the law of attraction. You don't have to know how an internal combustion engine works to drive the car. You don't have to understand electricity to flick the switch and turn on your bathroom light. There are people who have dedicated their entire lives to the study of the aforementioned scientific theories and still don't fully understand how it all works. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is all well and good, but I have been trying to attract a brand new car for 2 years now and have yet to manifest anything but a used 1972 Volkswagen. I feel your pain. Here's the problem. The thoughts that are the engine that drive the law of attraction are the ones in your subconscious mind. This is why simple, positive thinking, while not a bad thing, doesn't function as a catalyst for attracting the things you want. Your mind has two components, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind, of course, is the one that gets you up out of bed, drags your body around all day, and performs functions like driving your car, eating food, talking with your boss, etc. It helps you weigh the pros and cons of critical decisions and helps you do things like balancing your checkbook. Your conscious mind is very useful, and without it, we wouldn't get very far. It also has the annoying habit of blathering on about the stupidest stuff, and if left to its own devices, it can get us in a lot of trouble sometimes. Your subconscious mind is a lot more mysterious and functions quite differently. You go about your business on a regular basis without ever really being aware of your subconscious mind. It's there, nevertheless, constantly working behind the scenes. It never rests and is usually hard at work even when you are sound asleep. This amazing part of your mind is responsible for regulating your bodily functions like breathing and hormone levels. It is also the part of us that is directly connected to the field of pure potentiality. The two parts of your mind work together in fascinating synchronization. It's interesting that many of us seem to think that our conscious minds have the most power to control our environment, but that is not true. Your subconscious has tremendous power to shape your reality according to the information it receives. The thing it can't do is evaluate information or make decisions based on opposing sets of data like your conscious mind can. The subconscious is like a computer. It will only give you back what you put into it. It's the old garbage in, garbage out principle. I'm speaking about the computers we have right now anyway. Very soon computers may be able to begin making their own decisions, which is a subject with vast, far-reaching implications and a topic for another book at another time. What I'm trying to say is that whatever image or suggestion you give your subconscious, it will act upon, with no attempt to evaluate or quantify that image or suggestion. It will create that reality for you without the slightest concern about whether the reality you have suggested is good for you or whether it may cause you immeasurable pain and anguish. It simply accepts whatever you have planted into it and gets to work creating that reality. If you can, stop and reflect for a few minutes what you have been feeding your subconscious mind over the last few weeks, months, and years. Has it been powerful, positive images filled with love and respect for your fellow man? Affirmations about an abundant universe ready to grant your wants and desires? Or has it been negative, greedy, guilt-filled grumblings about how the other guy has all the wealth and doesn't deserve it, ranting about how someone cut you off on the freeway, or quibbling about how some problem or another is your spouse's fault? Be honest now. Trust me, we've all been there and then wondered why our lives aren't panning out exactly like we wanted. One of the main tenets of this book is to show you how to reprogram your subconscious mind and keep attuned to the right frequency so that it is in vibrational balance with Source, as well as who you truly are, and what you truly want, thereby allowing the field of pure potentiality to manifest those things into your life. In their book series, The Teachings of Abraham, Esther and Jerry Hicks explain it this way: you are the creator of your own experience. As such, it is important to understand that it is not by virtue of your action, not by your doing, not even by virtue of what you are saying that you are creating every moment of your life. It is by virtue of the thought you are offering. You cannot speak or offer action without thought vibration occurring at the same time. However, you are often offering thought vibration without offering words or action. This may seem to contradict a chapter later in this book regarding taking action as one of the foundations of clicking the pieces of the puzzle into place. This is not so because the way I interpret what they are saying is that before action comes thought. Your thoughts create the reality for you to take action into. More on this later. Esther and Jerry continue. Each thought you think has its own vibrational frequency. Every thought that you offer is vibrating at a very personal frequency. And by the powerful law of attraction, that thought is now attracting another thought that is its vibrational match. That which is like unto itself is drawn. Those combined thoughts are vibrating at a frequency that is higher than the thought that came before, and they will now attract another and another and another until eventually, these thoughts will be powerful enough to attract a real-life situation or manifestation. You must understand who you really are. Who you really are is eternal and everlasting. You are a divine essence that is vibrationally aligned with Source, whose thoughts and feelings have the power to attract anything you want into your life. Now, it's time to do a little exercise. What I want you to do is get a notebook of some kind and use it to take some notes, make a few lists, and write out affirmations when we get to that point. Right now, what we're going to do is make a list of everything you want and or need. I want you to have fun with this. Be free-flowing and all-inclusive. Start with the things you need, like paying the rent next week, and move through to the things you've always wanted. Don't stop to worry about or even consider whether you can afford these things or whether you deserve them or whether your mother would approve of them. The only parameters I want you to consider are: is it legal, moral, and ethical? We don't want to have to come bail you out of jail. Does it conform to the laws of physics? In other words, flying to the moon on Harry Potter's broomstick isn't really what we're after here. Do it now. Take your time and really think about it. Include anything and everything and be outlandish if you'd like, using only the 2 parameters listed above. When you're done, save it, and we'll come back to it later. Have fun. Action steps. Designate a notebook to use with this book. You'll be writing a lot, so you might want to buy a new spiral notebook or a 3-ring binder and a nice pen. Make a list of everything you want. Be very specific, and don't worry about how you will get these things, whether you should get them, or whether or not you can afford them. Just have fun and make a list. Sit quietly for 5 or 10 minutes and feel the energy of the universe as it vibrates and pulsates through your body. Clear your mind and just be with the intelligent universe. Chapter 2: Believe your beliefs, and doubt your doubts. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:23-24. Belief is the foundation of your ability to energize the law of attraction. If you cannot master belief, the rest of the information in this book will be almost useless. If you have attempted to utilize the universal law and have not met with favorable success, reprogramming your subconscious with strong, positive beliefs is the place to start. Belief is one of the key ways your subconscious creates the reality that you are currently experiencing. Strong, unshakable belief in yourself and the outcome of your endeavors is in total vibrational alignment with what you truly are. Unfortunately, many of us have very deeply ingrained limiting and/or sabotaging beliefs. This creates a very low vibrational and emotional state and only tends to attract negative outcomes. So what is belief anyway? Belief is simply what a person accepts as being true or real. Here's the definition from Webster's dictionary. Belief, noun, left, a feeling of being sure that someone or something exists or that something is true. Notice that it doesn't say anything about what is reality. It says it's a feeling of being sure. We will discuss how emotions play a pivotal part in either blocking or energizing the law of attraction later in this book. Many of us have a deeply ingrained belief that something is holding us back. The list is long and varied: age, physical condition, lack of money, lack of a college degree, lack of intelligence. I could go on and on. You have your own beliefs and are probably willing to explain to anyone who will listen why you haven't been able to accomplish, be, or have the things you truly desire. As I have mentioned earlier, you have created your own reality. Acceptance of this fact is a very important step in changing your vibrational state. I understand that this is not always easy, especially if the picture you are viewing isn't a rosy one. However, acknowledging your role in getting to where you currently find yourself is a foundational moment on your journey. As mentioned earlier, Understanding that you are responsible for wherever you are in life can be bad news, but it can also be the good news, because if you are 100% responsible for the entire mess in front of you, that means you have 100% ability to clean it up. What we call our destiny is truly our character, and that character can be altered. The knowledge that we are responsible for our actions and attitudes does not need to be discouraging, because it also means that we are free to change this destiny. One is not in bondage to the past, which has shaped our feelings to race, inheritance, and background. All this can be altered if we have the courage to examine how it formed us. We can alter the chemistry, provided we have the courage to dissect the elements. And I want you to know that if you feel stuck and hopeless, it is only an illusion. There is always a way, and you have the ability through your thoughts and beliefs to create a path to a clear and bright future. If you make yourself aware, you will see that there are instances of the effects of both positive and negative belief everywhere. One of the most famous is the story of Roger Bannister. Roger was a distance runner on the British Olympic team in the early 1950s. To most people, he would appear to be a success. He had competed at several Olympics and held the British record for the 1500 meters at 3:46:30. However, there was another milestone that gnawed at him that he came to believe he could conquer. That milestone was running a mile in under 4 minutes. Now, you have to understand that human beings had been having track meets for several thousand years, and up to that point, no one had ever run a mile in under 4 minutes. In fact, everyone you talked to back then said it couldn't be done. The doctors and physiologists said that a man's heart would simply explode if he tried to run that fast for that long. His lungs couldn't process enough oxygen. There were all sorts of reasons why everyone knew that a 4-minute mile just wasn't possible. Roger believed he could do it. He trained hard, pushing his body to extraordinary lengths. He also trained his mind, convincing himself that the 4-minute barrier was only imaginary. His unshakable belief in his own abilities propelled him onward. Then in the summer of 1954, at a meet in Oxford, England, he knew it was time. As he crossed the finish line that day, the timer on the scoreboard read 3:59.40. He had done it. Roger Bannister's record is an incredible feat, proving that one's belief can create new realities. However, the most interesting thing about this story to me is that his record only stood for a few weeks. That's right. It was broken almost immediately, and once the floodgates had opened, it became a veritable Niagara Falls. Runners, one after the other, began to record times under 4 minutes. What had been a rock-solid barrier for literally thousands of years was now just another small bump on the running track. To date, as far as I know, over 4,500 people have recorded a time under 4 minutes, with the world record by Hachem El Guerrouj standing at an astounding 3:43.13. Why all of a sudden was everyone able to run a mile in under 4 minutes when it couldn't be done for thousands of years? Belief, of course. Everyone now had proof that it could be done, so they believed they could do it as well. Our job in this chapter is giving you some tools that enable you to implant belief into your subconscious regarding the things that you want, that will dissolve the long-held barriers that have been keeping the law of attraction from drawing those things to you. Roger Bannister's story is one of a positive belief, drawing success into one's life. Unfortunately, all too often, we see negative, limiting beliefs preventing people from getting what they want. I remember when I was about 10 years old, I happened upon my father sitting at the picnic table we had set up on the patio in the backyard. It was a warm summer evening after dinner. He had brought his papers out from the desk in his office to work on them, and he sat in the twilight paying bills, writing checks, and attempting to organize the budget. Looking back on it now, I realized that it hadn't been going very smoothly. I think he was running out of money before he ran out of month. I, in my innocence, ran up and started asking questions. "What are you doing?" "Paying bills," he said gruffly without looking up. I thought for a moment. We weren't what you would call rich, but we were a solidly middle-class family. My parents provided a stable, loving environment where I could wander through my childhood without worrying too much about where my next meal or basic necessities would come from. This was really the first time I can remember wondering about money and how it affected my life and my parents. "How much money do you make?" I asked innocently, really just trying to figure out how it all worked. My father looked up with a scowl on his face that 50 years later I can still picture vividly in my mind. "Who wants to know?" he shouted. Obviously I had touched a nerve, and I was quite shocked and taken aback by his reaction. I guess I do," I stammered. "Well, it's none of your business or anybody else's. Now run off and play." "I'm busy," he said, dismissing me. This was a seemingly innocuous exchange between a very stressed-out but otherwise loving and dedicated parent and an innocent child. As I look back, it's clear that this incident, along with a few other similar incidents, served to create a belief around money that crippled me in that area of my life for many years. I was a perfectly intelligent, hard-working young man with lots of drive and ambition who couldn't rub two nickels together through most of his 20s and 30s. I had trouble making money, and when I did make some, it would slip right through my fingers and be gone. It wasn't until I identified my long-held, negative, and limiting beliefs that I was unworthy of having money and that it was scarce that I was able to reverse my lifelong struggle with the greenbacks. Ultimately, I was able to reprogram my subconscious with positive energetic beliefs using many of the techniques and teachings found in this book, and today, I have no stress in my life associated with money. Our beliefs are conditioned by our perceptions. In her wonderful book, E-Squared, Pam Grout tells this story. In the 60s, an anthropologist named Colin Turnbull was studying pygmy culture. At one point he took a tribal elder with him on a journey out of the forest within which the pygmy chief had lived all of his life. The chief had never been exposed to anything but a forest. In other words, trees had obscured and limited his view to only several yards for virtually all of his life. Upon viewing the vast expanse of an open savanna and seeing a herd of buffalo in the distance, the pygmy refused to believe that they were buffalo. "They have to be ants," he kept exclaiming. The pygmy chief's perception could not allow his mind to believe that the small dots in the distance were actually very large animals. Through something called the reticular activating system, our conscious minds are constantly inputting, analyzing, and filtering information. Normally, this is a good thing. Without the ability to sort through the millions of bits of information that are constantly barraging our cerebral cortex, designating the important stuff to be paid attention to and throwing away the superfluous stuff, we would go insane in pretty short order. In fact, we would probably still be living in caves. What happens, though, is that as we filter, we are also busy drawing conclusions and making judgments about what is fact and what isn't, and again, we tend to simply throw out what doesn't coincide with what we currently believe to be the truth or reality. We take what we perceive and plug it into our belief system as fact when it may or may not be what is really happening. Everything we think we're seeing is all just a guess, a prediction our brains are making. Kurt Anderson, we must be very careful about what we perceive to be reality. It really doesn't matter whether you believe in or put to use the principles in this book. The universal law will be at work in your life anyway. Back in the early to mid-80s, I worked for a real estate broker who was one of the most prolific creators I have ever known. He was a tough, no-nonsense farm boy from Montana who had left home early in life and had to fend for himself. He ended up in Seattle in late 1979 driving an old Chevy with $5.50 in his pocket. By the end of the next decade, he was a multimillionaire. What's interesting is that he would scoff at the notion of anything resembling a law of attraction. However, he used many of the principles in this book without ever realizing it, as has many a great man throughout history. I remember being with him in quite a few large, very intense negotiations that ultimately turned out in his favor. One thing that he would do is drive to the location of the meeting a few minutes early, and sit quietly in his car for several minutes and give himself a little talking to, as he put it. Of course, I'd say he was visualizing and affirming the outcome of the meeting. But don't tell him I said that. In later parts of this book, I'll talk about how feelings can energize the law and how feeling good leaves you in a higher, more aligned vibrational state. This is all true, and I believe that feeling good can have a major positive effect on activating the law of attraction in your life. Having said that, I think it's interesting to look at the story of my old real estate broker. He didn't smile much as I remember. He was a tough, imposing man who would intimidate many of the people he had business dealings with. Good feelings are certainly not the first impression you would have of this man. So how did he manage to create and attract such wealth and success? Belief. He had absolute, down to the core, unshakable, focused, intense belief in himself, what he was doing, and how he was doing it. I think there is a great lesson here for those who chose to let it sink in. All the techniques and suggestions in this book are great, and they will help focus and direct the law of attraction in your life. However, if you do nothing else, use these techniques and suggestions to create a solid, unshakable belief in yourself, in what you are doing, and how you are doing it. If you do this, the universe will align itself to your desires and bring to you those things that you truly believe in. Miracles happen to those that believe in them. Stuart Chase. Now, let's talk about your strongly held limiting and sabotaging beliefs. If we are going to overcome the negative effects of our limiting beliefs, we must first be able to identify exactly what those beliefs are. You may have a very good idea what those beliefs are because you have been grappling with them for years. In many cases, however, you may have very little idea what they are, having struggled through life wondering why you can never attract the good things you have always wanted. In his book, The Magic of Believing, an excellent book by the way that I heartily recommend, Vic Johnson describes an exercise that we are also going to use. It's called 1 Week of Thinking About Thinking. Here's how it works. Carry the aforementioned notebook with you everywhere you go for a period of 1 week. What you are going to do is keep track of your thoughts. You don't have to keep track of every thought you have. In other words, buy some milk on the way home from work is probably not useful information for this exercise. However, when you catch yourself going back to the same thought such as, "Oh my God, how am I going to pay all of those bills next week?" definitely write it down. You will have some positive thoughts, some neutral thoughts, and of course, negative thoughts. What you might find is that you have way more negative thoughts than you realize. Remember that even the simplest thought repeated over and over trickles down into your subconscious mind, and over time, these thoughts can become ingrained, negative, and limiting beliefs. This is not the easiest thing to do. In fact, it takes some real definiteness of purpose and discipline. At the end of the week, though, you will have a very good idea about what the negative and limiting beliefs are that have been shaping your reality. I urge you to expend the effort to do this exercise. After a week of journaling your thoughts, take some time and go over the notes you have taken. You will most likely notice a pattern. In most cases, a few predominant negative thoughts will stick out at you. These are where we will start to reshape your subconscious. overcoming long-held, limiting, and sabotaging beliefs by releasing them and replacing them with solid vibrationally sound beliefs is the first step to energizing the law of attraction in your life. We will delve into the concept of releasing in the next chapter. Action steps. Begin to reflect on how your beliefs have shaped your reality. What are some of the positive, energetic beliefs that have helped you achieve success? What are the negative, limiting beliefs that have been preventing you from attracting the things that you desire? Utilizing the notebook we have started, write down all of your recurring thoughts for a week. You don't need to write down every thought. Just notice the recurring ones and make a note. After a week or so of journaling your thoughts, take some time to go through your notes and distill them down. You'll probably be able to identify 3-10 predominant limiting negative beliefs. Hold on to this list. We'll use it in the next chapter. Chapter 3. Take a deep breath, and just let it go. We can have freedom and happiness now. We don't have to wait for it to arise some far-off day in the future when we have worked hard enough to deserve it or when we have succeeded somehow in making ourselves ready. We have reason for joy and delight now. Harold Woskin. Being brutally honest with yourself, identifying the limiting beliefs that you have held on to for many years in some cases, and releasing them will have far-reaching effects on your ability to energize the law of attraction in your life. There is a lot of information out there regarding the practice of releasing. One of the best methods is a technique I learned a few years back when I bought a course by Harold Woskin. You may recognize Hal from this secret book and movie. The course is called The Sadhana Method, and I can't recommend it highly enough. This technique of eliminating emotional baggage and getting yourself to a higher emotional and vibrational state has helped thousands of people over the last several years. Hale's Sadhana method is far-reaching and comprehensive. It is not my intention in this book to explain all of his teachings, which would take a library of books this size, so if you'd like more info please check out his website, http://www.sadhana.com. The Sadhana method allows you to work through your negative emotions as well as let go of and not be attached to your positive emotions and beliefs. For our purposes, however, we are going to focus specifically on negative, limiting beliefs that are preventing you from fully accessing the universal power of the law of attraction. Now, I understand this can be a painful and disturbing exercise, but if you stick with it and persevere, it will really pay off in the long run. Take heart, everybody has at least some limiting beliefs. It's virtually impossible to grow up in our society without them. The way I look at it, the more problems and challenges you have, the better you should feel about this exercise, because when you think about it, everything you have in your life, you created through the beliefs in your subconscious. If you have lots of bad things happening, you are a very good creator. We just need to have you start creating better and different stuff. Hang in there. What we are trying to do here is get you to live in the present. Going back and reliving the old injustices, tragedies, and mistakes will do nothing but further implant and ingrain those limiting beliefs into your subconscious. This releasing technique will allow you to just let those beliefs go and free yourself from the tyranny of negative emotions that have been creating a reality that does not align vibrationally with what you really are. The only reason we want to understand our problems is because we are planning to have them again. Harold Woskin. To be clear, we are not trying to have you forget about past incidences in your life such as the loss of a loved one or a business deal gone bad. We are also not trying to understand why these things happened. What we are doing is releasing the emotional attachment you have to these incidents that has created a limiting or sabotaging belief. What I want you to do is grab your notebook with the list of negative limiting beliefs that you identified in the previous chapter. Carve out about a half an hour where you can sit quietly and free your mind of all the day's details and problems. If you have to leave the kids with the neighbor and get in the car and drive down to the park, then do that. If you have to lock yourself in your den away from the family for a little while, then do that. Do whatever it takes. We want about a half an hour where you can freely focus inward. Let me explain what I mean by releasing. In his book, The Sadhana Method, Hale uses this example. Have you ever lost your car keys and begun turning the house upside down looking for them? I mean, you're getting more and more upset and stresses out as the minutes pass. Your heart rate goes up and your muscles get tight between your shoulders. You start looking under things that don't even make sense. You look in the freezer. You lift up the back of the toilet tank. Where could they be? Then it hits you. You left them in your pants pocket yesterday evening. You run to the clothes hamper and dig out your pants, and amazing as it may seem, there they are. In that moment, if you're paying attention, you can feel the tension just melt away. Your shoulders drop, the strained look on your face relaxes, you take a deep breath, and know that everything is going to be okay. This is the type of feeling we're looking for when you release. Another way to look at it is to imagine you have something solid in your hand, such as a pen or a pencil. If you have one handy, you might want to actually do this exercise. Grip the item strongly in your hand. Feel it in there. Feel the contours of it. Squeeze it tightly. Now hold the item out and quickly open your hand. The item falls harmlessly to the floor. Your hand is totally empty. This is what you want to do with your emotions when you release. Just let them go as best you can. After relaxing and clearing your mind for a few minutes, focus on one of the main issues you've been struggling with. Refer to your list. After holding it clearly in your mind for a few minutes, start focusing on the limiting, negative beliefs you seem to have associated with that issue. Then write out the specific and focused sentence detailing your negative limiting belief. This may make you squirm a little, but stick with it. Your list may contain a negative belief that is already specific enough, but I find it helps to refine the thought. The more detailed and specific you can be with these issues, the better. A lot of the people I talk to about the law of attraction want to utilize it to attract money. However, you can use these exercises to help with any issue you have. If your issues did revolve around money, you might write something like the following. I believe that I have screwed up my finances for so long that it's useless to start now to try to be successful. Or, I believe that money is scarce and very hard to make and I have no prospects for a good job. Or, I am unworthy of having money. Others seem to have all they want and make it easily, but I have never been able to. These are just some examples of what you might write. After you have between 3 and 6 of these beliefs written down, you can start on the releasing exercises. It's best to only do a few of these per session. Solving all of your issues in one sitting is obviously not a reasonable approach. It took you a lifetime to cement them in there, so give yourself some time to work through the process and try to keep it as light and fun as you can. Now it's time to release. Begin by focusing on the first limiting negative belief you have written down. Just be with it for several minutes. Let yourself feel all the emotions that come up. These don't have to be strong emotions, or they could be whatever comes up is fine. It's very important for these exercises to not suppress or deny anything that comes up in this moment. Feel the emotions fully. Then ask yourself these questions. Could I allow this feeling to be here? Could I welcome this feeling? Could I let this feeling go? There is no right answer. Yes or no are both acceptable. A lot of times you'll release on the subject even if you say no. Don't overcomplicate this. Just feel what the best answer is for you at the time and move on. After asking, "Could I let this feeling go?" ask yourself, "Would I?" And then, "When?" These questions are deliberately simple, and the specific answers to them are not really the point. The exercise is designed to enable you to dissolve the long-standing limiting, negative beliefs that have prevented you from getting into a vibrational match with the power of the law of attraction. Just by doing the work, if you keep at it, you will begin to release those long-standing beliefs. You should feel much lighter and freer after doing this releasing exercise for a half an hour or so. This is a reflection of the fact that you have aligned vibrationally more fully with what you really are and the things that you want to attract into your life. As Hale explains, by doing these exercises consistently, you will move through the lower emotions of apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, and pride to the more vibrationally aligned and creative emotions of courageousness, acceptance, and peace. Hale uses an analogy in his book that goes like this. Imagine that your emotions are an ocean of energy being channeled through a garden hose that represents your body and your mind. When in the lower emotional states such as apathy, grief, and fear, the hose is kinked so that very little energy can get through. As you move up through the higher emotional states, the hose becomes more open until you get to courageousness, acceptance, and peace, where the hose is fully open and energy is flowing into your life, creating whatever it is that you chose to create. It may take some time to work through all your limiting beliefs, but I encourage you to do the work and use this method as much as you possibly can. Again, this is just a brief glimpse into the technique of the Sadhana method. Please go to Hale's website if you would like to delve deeper into this powerful information. The releasing process doesn't have to take an enormous amount of time. Once you get a little practice, it can happen almost immediately. At first, however, it will probably take a little bit of doing. By the way, I want to reiterate that releasing is interesting in that you shouldn't only release on the negative things. It also helps to release on the positive stuff like the visualizations and affirmations we'll be talking about in the next chapter. This can help in minimizing the repellent force that we'll touch on later. After you have begun dissolving your ingrained limiting, negative beliefs, it's time to begin implanting new, positive, vibrationally aligned beliefs that will begin to match who you really are and resonate with the universal flow of energy to draw the things you want to you. Action steps. Check out either the Sadhana method or some other discipline that will allow you to methodically let go of your negative, limiting beliefs. Take time every day to sit quietly and let go. Do the work. Keep at it, and you will begin to feel much lighter as you move through your days. Chapter 4: Rocket Fuel for the Engine of the Law of Attraction, Visualizations and Affirmations. If one advances confidently in the direction of one's dreams and endeavors to live the life which one has imagined, one will meet with success unexpected in common hours. Henry David Thoreau. Having fun yet? So far, we've discussed a little bit about who you are and how you fit into the universe, and have begun to dissolve some of the long-standing negative, limiting beliefs that you've been tenaciously holding onto like a terrier on a bone. Really, I can hear you growling from here. I want you to keep in mind that what we are doing here is rearranging a lot of energy. The releasing process as well as the visualizations and affirmations we are about to discuss are designed to reprogram your subconscious mind. The subconscious can be a little stubborn about these things. It likes things just the way they are, even if the way they are isn't working very well. The subconscious mind may start to squirm a little and try and convince you that this is all just a crazy bunch of hooey and that you should just accept things as they are and forget about it. Please don't listen to your subconscious. Remember, you are the programmer, not the programmee. Also, I've found that the intelligent universe will sometimes test you to make sure that these are the things you really want before it grants your wishes. In other words, Mixing up and rearranging the flow of energy through your subconscious may stir things up a little. It's as if we have to tear down some of the old scaffolding in order to rebuild a better structure. Your life may look like it's falling apart at first, but don't panic. All is as it should be, and if you hang in there you'll be amazed at the view from the other side. Some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. Eckhart Tolle. We have talked a lot about the subconscious mind and how it works. I want to delve a little deeper into how images in your subconscious can truly shape your reality. Placing very specific images in your subconscious of the things that you desire, backing those up with strong emotions, and focusing on them with intention and constancy will draw those things into your life as surely as the sun will rise tomorrow morning. Some of you out there are saying, "Yeah, I tried that, and it didn't seem to work." I want you to know that the laws we are talking about here are irrefutable. Mystics, yogis, and spiritual teachers have been trying to tell us about them for centuries. And as we've talked about in earlier chapters, science is just beginning to agree with them. There are some reasons why you may not have experienced immediate results when attempting to attract things into your life. We live in a now culture. We can go to our laptops and download just about any type of information we desire in a few minutes. If we want to be entertained, we grab the remote and flick on the television where there are over 500 channels spewing out a dizzying amount of information and entertainment. You can pick up your cell phone and call almost anywhere in the world with a few touches of the keypad. I find that a lot of people will attempt to access the law of attraction for a few hours or days, look around, not notice anything much different, decide that this whole thing just doesn't work, give up, and simply go back to their comfortable negative, limiting beliefs. Sitting in a pile of poop isn't where you really want to be, but at least it's nice and warm. Don't give up just before the miracle happens. Another reason may be that scientists tell us that we have around 60,000 thoughts every day. Casually attempting to employ positive thinking without some laser focus and intention is a little like spitting into the wind. What happens so many times when we try to reprogram the subconscious with affirmations and visualizations is that for every positive image or affirmation, there are 10 other thoughts that say, "Oh sure, that'll never happen," or "I tried this before and nothing happened," or "My mom would think I'm crazy for trying this." On and on and on. We must find a way to impact the drift of the constant flow of negative thoughts that we have all day, every day. The way to do this is through intense emotional visualization and repetition. A while back, I came across an article about a gentleman named John. He had attended a personal development seminar, and one of the topics was the power of visualization. The speaker was telling all kinds of exciting stories about people who had used various visualization techniques to create some amazing results in their lives. Toward the end of his talk, he walked the participants through a guided visualization exercise. In the exercise, he had them close their eyes and clearly visualize the result they would like to create. Having tried and failed at this kind of experiment in the past, John was somewhat reluctant, but he decided to suspend any disbelief and just try it out. For his visualization, John pictured his hand raising in front of his face and seeing his wedding band on his ring finger. He had lost the ring 3 months earlier on a blustery winter day and had no idea where it might have fallen. The exercise forced him to hold this vision of the ring on his finger for at least 2 minutes, although it was probably even longer than that. The guided visualization ended and the speaker continued on with the presentation. After that, John dropped the whole thing from his mind and went on with his day. Later that evening, John's wife answered the phone. It was his sister-in-law. Her neighbor had found a gold wedding ring on their lawn among a pile of melting snow. His sister-in-law knew John had been missing his ring, so she called right away to tell him it had been found. The ring must have fallen off in their driveway and been shot across the yard with the snowblower only to land in the neighbor's yard. What are the chances that they would discover the ring at virtually the same time John had been visualizing it on his finger? The use of vivid, emotion-backed, and specific visualizations is one of the keys to energizing the law of attraction. This is very different from simple positive thinking. You must convince your subconscious that the thing you are trying to attract already exists. To do this, it is essential that you experience it in your mind as if it is real and/or has already happened. I have found that the best way to do this is in combination with affirmations. In other words, I read and/or write out my affirmation as I say it out loud, and then sit quietly for a few minutes and visualize that affirmation as if it has already happened or is a reality. We will get to the specifics of how to write affirmations shortly. Right now, I want you to understand what visualizations are and how to most effectively use them. When you visualize, you must be very specific. For example, if what you wanted was a new car, you wouldn't just visualize a new car or even a new Honda Accord. You would visualize something like this: a new 2014 silver Honda Accord with a 2.4-liter inline 4-cylinder engine, automatic transmission, tan leather seats, and wood grain dash. Now that you have visualized the exact car that you want, continue by experiencing the car in your mind as if it already exists in your driveway. Vividly imagine how the leather seats feel as you slide behind the wheel. What does the wood grain steering wheel feel like in your hands? How does the car smell when you first sit in it? What does the engine sound like when you turn the key and start it up? Imagine accelerating away from the curb in front of your house. How does it make you feel? What emotions are you experiencing because you own this new car? The more specific you can be and the more intensely you can feel the emotions that having the thing you want brings up, the more it will be burned indelibly into your subconscious. Remember that your subconscious cannot discern whether a thought or visualization sent from your conscious mind is real or imagined, and it will get to work creating that reality for you. This, of course, applies to any area of your life in which you want to attract something. For instance, if it's a new relationship you want, try visualizing the exact type of person that you are looking for. How do they look? What are they wearing? What color is his/her hair? What personality traits does he/she have? Imagine yourself interacting with this person in a certain setting. Feel the emotions you would feel if this situation was actually happening. Images are like highly explosive vibration bombs, which, when set off, shatter the rocks of difficulties and create the change desired. Paramahansa Yogananda. The way to most effectively utilize visualizations, I believe, is through the consistent use of properly worded affirmations. An affirmation, of course, is a written sentence or paragraph describing specifically what you would like your subconscious to get to work manifesting into reality. There is lots of information regarding how to do affirmations. Some people advocate sitting down and writing them out longhand every day, others want you to say them out loud. Still others believe that simply asking the universe once for the thing wanted and then forgetting about it, and letting the universe do its job is sufficient. Personally, I think that whatever way makes sense for you is the best way. There isn't some law carved into a stone tablet somewhere stating the exact way they need to be done. The key is to do them and do them consistently. I started out writing my affirmations longhand on a legal pad every morning, and every evening while I repeated them out loud. I believe that this is a very effective way to implant the information into your subconscious, and if you have the time and the space, you should consider doing it this way. It is kinesthetic, writing as well as oral, hearing yourself speak. The more routes you can find through your nervous system into your subconscious, the better. After a while, I found that I was having trouble with consistency. Thrashing around through my crazy schedule made it a little difficult sometimes to take an hour every morning and evening to sit down and write out a couple of pages of affirmations. Plus, I had trouble finding a place at home where I could have some privacy to say the affirmations out loud. By the way, it's a good idea not to tell anyone at first about what you are doing. Not because it's some big secret or that you should feel ashamed of what you're doing, it's just that especially at first, you are very susceptible to others' influences. An offhand comment from a spouse, friend, or sibling, even if they mean well, can throw you off your program. Also, you might be a little self-conscious about voicing out loud what could potentially be some pretty private information. Here's the solution I came up with. I wrote the affirmations on 3x5 index cards, and I keep them in my briefcase. I will leave 15 or 20 minutes early and stop by my favorite Starbucks. After all, I do live in Seattle, and I think there's some sort of law about required mocha latte consumption. Then, I will stop by my favorite park on the way to my office and sit in my car, sipping my coffee with some soft relaxing music playing. I will then read the affirmations out loud, stopping after each one to emotionally visualize per the instructions earlier in this chapter. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes and sets me up for a really good day, having planted lots of positive energetic visualizations into the old noggin. I will still occasionally sit down and write them out longhand, especially if I have updated them in any way. Don't be afraid to change, update, and/or rearrange your affirmations, as this is not a static exercise. You don't want to be whipsawing around every 5 minutes, of course, but things do change in your life and you must keep pace with your present situation and what you currently want right now in this moment. This is a good place to reiterate how the universe will manifest things, sometimes in a weird way. It seems, occasionally, that God has quite a sense of humor. I was in Hawaii several months ago and had set my cell phone on a large rock on the beach while snorkeling with my youngest son. While out in the water, a small storm front moved through, and the wind kicked up quite a bit. We came back in after about 30 minutes only to find that my cell phone had been blown off the rock and was gurgling under about 6 inches of seawater. Needless to say, the phone had been rendered completely useless. No worries, I thought. I have the insurance plan they sell you when you buy the phone. I'll just go get another one. When I got back to the hotel, I called the cell plan provider to see what the procedure would be to get a new phone. They politely told me that it seemed that I did not have the insurance listed on my account. I remember going into the store months earlier to buy the phone with the express intention of getting the insurance plan on my new phone. My earlier phone had died, and I had regretted not having the insurance. I told the woman that I specifically remembered talking with the representative about the insurance, and I was sure I had opted in on it. She apologized and said there was really nothing she could do at this point because there was no record of my ever having insurance on the phone. Now, in years past, this type of situation would have sent me into the stratosphere. It seems that a few limiting, negative beliefs regarding these kinds of transactions were cemented into my subconscious. I probably would have begun ranting and raving at the poor woman on the telephone who was doing nothing more than relaying the information she was getting on her computer screen and had no ability to impact the situation. This time, however, I made the conscious decision to believe that there would be a positive outcome and began immediately visualizing a new phone that I would not have to pay for other than the insurance deductible. I thanked the woman and hung up. The next time I did my affirmations, I added this item to the list. 2 days later, when I got back into town, I went into the phone store, name to be withheld to protect the innocent, where they told me that in fact it showed that apparently the insurance had been inadvertently left off of the account. There was nothing they could do. In order to replicate the phone I had, I'd have to buy a new one at price of over $400. Again, in years past, this type of situation would have really frosted my cookies, and I would have begun raising my voice and demanding my rights. However, remembering my affirmation, I strongly believed that there would be a positive outcome. I stayed calm and in a friendly and loving manner explained my point of view and asked the representative what could be done. A side effect of strong belief can often be serenity. He said he didn't know but would do his best to find out. He told me to come back the next morning. When I returned the next day, the representative said there was nothing they could do about the insurance. It had been left off the account and that was that. However, he said his manager had suggested a way around the dilemma. If I would simply purchase $150 worth of other products, due to some company policy that I don't quite understand, they could actually give me a phone for free. That just happened to be the exact amount of the insurance deductible I would have paid anyway. I smiled and happily paid for $150 worth of merchandise for my new phone. The way it worked out, not only did I get a brand new phone but I also received a car dashboard phone holder dealo and a Bluetooth earpiece for the same amount I would have paid for the insurance deductible in the first place. You see, I never wavered in my belief that the universe was going to work the situation out in a positive way. It just didn't happen the exact way I had visualized and took a day or two longer. When affirming and visualizing, remember to keep an open mind, and when things look like they are going south, just remember that the universe has a sense of humor and that your nice linear plan of action might include a few bumps and or swerves in the road on the way to getting the things that you desire. You must give birth to your images. They are the future waiting to be born. Rainer Maria Rilke. Now, let's go back and retrieve the list of wants and needs we compiled in Chapter 1. We are going to turn them into affirmations. You should have a long list of things that you want and or need. What we need to do here is distill that list down using a few criteria. The following exercise is found in the outstanding book by Victor Buck titled How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever. Victor is an expert at visualization and affirmations. I recommend his book to anyone experiencing a lack of money in their life. Look at each item on your list and ask yourself the following questions. Do I have a burning desire for this thing? You must truly want the things you are going to be affirming. If it is something that you think most people would want, that you think you should want, that you used to want, or that you think your mom and dad would want you to want, you should probably get it off the list. If you do not feel a burning desire for an item, cross it off. Casual interest is not what we're looking for here. Is it possible? This is pretty simple. In other words, if one of your desires on the list is to swim from LA to Japan underwater holding your breath the whole time, you should probably take it off the list. It is not my intention to limit you in any way in your desires. In fact, I encourage you to think big. Affirming and visualizing sailing to Japan on your new 100-foot yacht is awesome. We simply must keep in mind the laws of physics as we do the exercise. Will anyone be harmed? We do not want to be malicious, damaging, physically violent, or mentally violent. In other words, visualizing and affirming your brother-in-law driving his car off a cliff is not what we're after. It's better to visualize a more mutually beneficial and loving relationship with him. Or if nothing else, visualize your ability to negotiate your life around this difficult person. Does it contradict any other item on your list? Does the fulfillment of any item on your list preclude the fulfillment of any other item on your list? Is energy being pulled in opposite directions? For example, if your desire is to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and you are also visualizing becoming a monk who meditates 15 hours a day in a monastery, it would be advisable to pick one of those or the other to focus on. Is it enough? This is a hard one for me sometimes. Like all of us, I have a tendency to not set my goals high enough. I have to catch myself when I feel like I'm holding back. Just notice your long-standing negative conditioning. For example, in the back of your mind you might hear your mom saying, "Be reasonable. You'll never make $500,000 a year by owning your own business. Why don't you just go get a regular job?" In reality, there are people all over the place that make $500,000 a year by owning their own business. Your mom means well. She just doesn't hang out with those people. So, what you do is instead of writing down $500,000, you write down $150,000 or even $50,000 a year. If this is the kind of thing that you've done, I encourage you to think bigger. Courage is what we're looking for, not caution. Run your list through this exercise, call out or everything that doesn't belong, and reword the ones that don't quite fit. What's left are the things we are going to turn into affirmations. Affirmations should be written in a certain way. They need to be present tense, very personal, and specific. Try to keep them short and to the point. If you end up with a half-page paragraph for one affirmation, see if you can cut down on wordiness or split the one long affirmation into 2 or 3 shorter ones, remembering to still be very specific about the items. I found a side benefit of my idea to put them on 3x5 index cards is that it forces you to be brief. In fact, I would suggest that if you can't fit it on 3x5 index card, the affirmation is too long. Don't be afraid to go do some research on what you want. In other words, if you want a flat-screen TV, go shop for one and decide on the exact model you want, then put that specific make and model in your affirmation. Again, the affirmation should be specific and worded such that the acquisition of the item has already occurred. For example, if you wanted the aforementioned Honda Accord, your affirmation would be worded something like this: I, John Smith, own the new 2014 silver Honda Accord with a 2.4-liter inline 4-cylinder engine, automatic transmission, tan leather seats, and wood grain dash. You should not word it like this: I, John Smith, want a new 2014 silver Honda Accord with a 2.4-liter inline 4-cylinder engine, automatic transmission, tan leather seats, and wood grain dash. See the difference? Remember that your subconscious is going to manifest into reality whatever thought or image is implanted into it literally without any attempt to quantify or interpret the words or images. So if you are affirming that you want a silver Honda, that's what you're going to get, and wanting a silver Honda is not owning a silver Honda. You must be very careful in how you word your affirmations. Also, be careful about the word will. In other words, will implies something in the future. We are attempting to visualize the car as if you already are in possession of it. I, John Smith, will own a silver Honda is not currently owning the silver Honda either. Be sure to make the affirmation positive at all times. Avoid the words no, not, never, etc. Remember, you are attracting things to you, not trying to avoid or get away from something. In other words, the affirmation, I, Jane Doe, never overdraw my bank account would be better worded as, I, Jane Doe, am very good with money. My bank account is current and always has more than enough to cover the money I have spent. Most of the time, I will use my name in the affirmation. Your subconscious will respond more positively to a specific personal affirmation, and we are trying to be as specific as possible. Using the word I is okay, but I believe that your name works better. If you have more than one name, use the one that you are most comfortable with. I have included a short list of example affirmations in Appendix A in the back of this book. Please use these as examples only. Do not use them as your own affirmations. They will neither have the specificity needed nor the emotional power behind them that your own heartfelt wants and desires will. I suggest limiting your affirmations to 8-15 at a time. If you have more than that, you should prioritize and pick the ones that have the most emotional impact for you. Work on these first, and then when you either have attracted it into your life or decide that you no longer truly desire that thing, you can remove that affirmation and replace it with the next on the list. It's okay to just have a few very strong and focused affirmations to work on, especially at first. Remember, these are your affirmations and they should fit and vibrate with your life. Don't be afraid to reword, drop, or add additional affirmations. Now that you have written them properly, we need to get you on a consistent regimen of writing them and/or saying them out loud. As mentioned earlier, writing the affirmations out longhand as you say them out loud is very effective because this technique utilizes multiple neural pathways into the subconscious. However, if you do not have the time or space to do this, all is not lost. Putting them on 3x5 index cards and reading them out loud is also very effective. I strongly suggest that you pick a certain time of day every day and make a ritual or habit out of doing your affirmations. Missing a day or being lackadaisical with this exercise will render it useless. You must make this a priority, or don't waste your time in the first place. I hope I don't sound harsh, but it really is critical to be very consistent. Remember, the name of this book is Why the Law of Attraction Hasn't Worked for You. This right here is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people don't get the results they want. They start in on a regimen of affirmations and visualizations, and within a few days, they start missing a day and then two, and then wake up one morning and realize they haven't even looked at them in a week. It's no wonder why they aren't attracting the things they want. Being consistent with your affirmations is a habit you must get into if you want to effectively energize the law of attraction in your life. It's a habit just like anything else. As I mentioned earlier, your subconscious will tend to squirm a little, especially at first. It will attempt to throw up all kinds of very reasonable sounding excuses for not doing your affirmations. You're late for work, the kids are sick, you forgot, etc. You must force yourself with some will and determination for the first 30 days or so. It will get easier until at a certain point you can't imagine not doing them every day. It has taken you a lifetime to cement all those negative, limiting beliefs into your subconscious, so it may take a little while for your new beliefs to begin vibrating in accordance with what you really are and therefore begin manifesting the things you want. Hang in there. Just keep on reprogramming, and the results will start to show. Remember to expand your awareness and notice the little clues the universe is leaving you. Lots of times, things are starting to change and you are just clunking along with blinders on and don't even realize it. Make sure you're paying attention to your reticular activating system and be aware of the small and seemingly insignificant coincidences and synchronicities that begin to happen. Here's a quick example of what I mean. I have always had a great passion for open-wheel race cars. I have finally, after practicing many of the techniques found in this book, been able to afford to participate on a purely amateur or hobbyist level. A few years ago, I purchased a vintage open-wheel road racing car and began racing it locally. My wife, of course, thinks I've taken leave of my senses, but that's another story. Then at the end of last season, I began thinking that I should upgrade to a better car. However, it was somewhat of a vague notion and not something I included in my affirmations or visualizations. I did put up an advertisement to sell my car in several of the classified sections of the enthusiast websites that I frequent. As you can probably guess, I received zero responses from these ads. As I said, I liked my car and really didn't want to sell it. I just thought that I probably should. Then about 3 weeks ago, while I was at one of the local racing shops hanging out with my brother, I happened to mention to the owner of the shop that I might be looking for another car and mentioned the type, year, and model that I was looking for. He said, "I have one just like that." He walked me to the rear of the shop and pulled back a tarp covering the car in the corner. There it was. The exact car I had described. As I sat down in the seat, I remember thinking, I will have this car. It was a very intense, emotional moment for me. Now, the fact that the universe had materialized the perfect car, although pretty cool, is really not the point of this story. Here's where it gets interesting. You see, my wife thinks I've gone around a bend anyway. If I came home and told her that I now own 2 race cars, you can imagine how that would go over. All of a sudden, it became a very urgent need for me to sell my current car so that I could have the new one. I added this new car to my daily affirmations, and I constantly held it in my thoughts, visualizing how the seat felt, mentally holding the steering wheel in my hands, and feeling the exhilaration of driving the car. Then I got busy with writing and everything else that I have going on, and although I didn't forget about the situation, it got pushed to the back of my mind. Then one day about a week ago, I opened my email and had two very serious responses to my online ads after 8 months of nothing. A few days ago, I received a check for $2,500 in the mail as a deposit for the purchase of my current car. Here's the point of my story. Yes, I do have one. It wasn't until I sat down to write this morning that I realized that the universe had materialized the sale of my car for me. I had attracted it, and because I was so busy with the ongoing details of my life, I had failed to fully realize what was going on. It just seemed like the natural turn of events until I sat and reflected on everything that had transpired. Pay attention to the small miracles and synchronicities that happen. Connect the dots. You'll be amazed at what you notice. Action steps. Go through your list of wants and desires, and using the parameters above, call out or reword the ones that don't fit. Come up with 8-15 good solid affirmations. Either write them out longhand and say them out loud, or put them on 3x5 index cards and read them out loud. Pick the same time every day to do your affirmations. Get into the habit. As you do the affirmation, take time to visualize it as if it is a reality, as if it already exists in your life. Then fully feel the emotions that having that thing or situation brings up. After fully visualizing and feeling these emotions, let them go. Do not obsess over them. Worrying and stressing over your affirmations is counterproductive. Chapter 5: The faster I go, the behinder I get. The law of repulsion. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton's third law of motion. There is an aspect of the law of attraction that is very seldom talked about. It is another one of the big reasons I believe that people fail to see quantifiable results when attempting to attract the things they want in their life. It is the law of repulsion. We live in a dynamic world. As witnessed by Isaac Newton's third law of motion, every force in existence implies an equal and opposite force. As I have already mentioned several times, you are constantly creating and attracting things into your life. At the same time, you are also repelling things away from you. The life you are currently experiencing is the sum of the two forces at work. If your repellent force is currently overpowering the attractive force in relation to a certain desire, want, or thing, you will not attract that thing, and you may literally be pushing it away from you. According to Victor Bosse's book, How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever, the law of repulsion states, addiction to any preconceived image of intelligence repels the manifestation of that image in reality. In other words, an addiction to a particular image tends to repel the materialization of anything that corresponds to that image. The way I look at it, if you are visualizing and using affirmations to attempt to attract things into your life by reprogramming your subconscious with a new set of positive vibrational beliefs and images, that's a really good thing. If as a result, however, at the same time you are neurotically obsessing about the things you are trying to attract, you will be at the very least canceling out the positive effects of the law of attraction and very possibly actually repelling those things. When Victor talks about addiction, he is not necessarily talking about a drug or alcohol addiction. Although these types of addictions can certainly play a part in repulsing the things you want in your life, what we are implying here is any compulsive need characterized by an emotion-backed demand. It's really that emotion-backed demand that we are concerned about. The law of attraction is driven by the universal source that acts upon thought vibrations driven and amplified by emotions. Source does not take well to demands. Acting like a 3-year-old child stomping his foot and demanding an ice cream cone is a very low emotional and vibrational state. In Harold Watson's The Sadhana Method, he talks about how apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, and pride are all very low on the vibrational scale and are not a vibrational match with your true self. Courageousness, acceptance, and peace, however, are high vibrations and align very well with who you really are. What needs to happen is after you have affirmed the thing that you want and emotionally visualize it, you need to let it go. Quit worrying about it. You have turned your request over to the intelligent universe, and now, you just need to get on with your day and know that the universe is actively vibrating that thing into existence for you. Worrying and scheming, constantly having thoughts like, oh my God, I know I won't get it, or, what if it doesn't come true, I'll be really mad, will only serve to take you further away from the thing that you desire. Esther and Jerry Hicks in their many books and CDs on the teachings of Abraham talk a lot about feeling good as the vibrational state to strive for. When I first read about this, I thought it was a crazy idea. We are all supposed to walk around feeling good all the time? That's not very realistic, I thought. What they are really talking about, however, is the fact that positive emotions are the ones that will create the proper vibrations in the field of potentiality that allow the universe to begin attracting the things you want. It is impossible to be in alignment with the type of vibration that attracts while you are feeling bad, angry, lustful, fearful, etc. Make a decision to look for the best feeling aspects of whatever situation you are in. Consciously attempt to look for good feeling things to give your attention to, and your life will become one of increasingly good feeling aspects. Conversely, for every pleasing thing, there is an unpleasant counterpart. According to the teachings of Abraham, within every particle in the universe is that which is wanted as well as the lack of that which is wanted. When you focus on unwanted aspects of something, you only serve to draw to you the unwanted aspect. In other words, you repel what you do want. If you are feeling frustrated and hopeless and obsessing over the things you want, you are only in fact driving those things away from you. These feelings foster a negative destructive state of mind and will, in most cases, create vibrations that will not manifest the things you are obsessing about. In fact, again, they will actively push those things away from you. It's easy to get into the mindset that the more you need something, the more likely you are to get it. The opposite is actually true. On the other hand, healthy visualizations and affirmations that you then let go of or release tend to foster positive, uplifting feelings, vibrations that allow Source to draw the wanted things to you. Have you ever had the experience of trying to remember someone's name but you just can't seem to recall it? You try to remember, but the harder you try, the farther away the name seems to get from the tip of your tongue. Finally, you give up trying and just let it go and get on with your day. Then 10 minutes later the name pops right into your head. This is an illustration of the law of repulsion. The harder you try to remember the name, the more addicted you became, the more you repulsed or pushed the name away from you. Then when you let it go or release it, the law of attraction kicked into gear and brought it to you effortlessly. It's been my experience that about 99% of the stuff I have ever worried about never came true. Worry is such a waste of time and energy. If it accomplished anything, it might be worth it, but all it ever does is push the thing we desire in the opposite direction. Worry is one of the signposts of addiction. If you catch yourself worrying about something, you should immediately stop and take a look at what it is you're worrying about, and see if you can identify the addiction behind it. What am I supposed to do then? Stop wanting the things I want? I can hear you asking. No, it's good to want and desire things. We are working on giving you the tools to help you attain those things. The key is to not be attached to the results. Let's say you had a big date scheduled with the girl you've had a crush on for months. You finally got the nerve up to ask her out. After visualizing and affirming the situation, of course, she accepted and you both agreed it would be Saturday night. You spend the rest of the week nervously anticipating the big evening. Then on Saturday afternoon she calls and apologizes, saying she has had a family emergency come up and cannot make the date. You have a couple of options. You can become enraged, angered, and frustrated, these negative feelings blocking out any other thought or emotion. Your whole day ruined. You decide to eat a quart of ice cream and go to bed. Or you could simply let it all go, understanding that you are okay. The girl does not define you. You can decide that although you would have preferred to go on the big date with her, you have many other pleasant or even exciting things you can do with your Saturday evening and proceed to fully enjoy the rest of your day, living in the moment. Which approach do you think has a better vibrational alignment with Source? Which way would go a long ways towards attracting the girl to you in the future? The second option, of course. The way to accomplish this is to reframe the thing you want. Concentrate on having a preference for the things you want instead of an overwhelming, neurotic, and all-encompassing need for them. Be careful not to let your feelings go over the line into addiction. When you have a preference for something and that something is not acquired, you do not become desperate, enraged, or frustrated. You simply move on, and since it was only a preference, the lack of it does not create negative or desperate feelings. Letting go of your obsessive need for the thing desired takes a little practice but is well worth the time and effort. A few years back I had a day job of selling alarm systems door to door. It was a challenge for me to approach this job with anything but a negative, limiting belief. I didn't see myself as a door-to-door salesman. I was very addicted to the mental picture of myself being an executive, and this job, I felt, was beneath me. It was all I had at that moment, however, so I visualized and positively affirmed myself selling lots of alarm systems and enjoying the experience. I kept affirming over and over that people love to buy alarms from me. One of the problems I encountered while making these sales was that I caught myself approaching the people as simply a vehicle for producing a commission. They were simply numbers in my bank account, not living, breathing human beings. This approach did not produce many sales. After failing miserably for a few weeks, I had an aha moment. I realized I should be approaching these people as people and explaining the alarm systems to them with an attitude of caring and compassion. More importantly, I decided to not be attached to the result. In other words, I quit worrying about the commission or even the outcome of the sale. I relaxed, began explaining the alarm system to them caringly as if they were each members of my extended family, and began making lots of sales. Not being attached to the result of the sale paradoxically allowed me to be in the moment and show up in a much higher vibrational state, allowing the universe to attract many more sales to me. Learning to give up and let go of your obsessive desires related to the things, situations, or people that you want will give you the freedom to accept those things into your life that you have probably seldom experienced. Remember, we are not suppressing our desires. We are embracing them, then letting them go, and not being attached to the results. Action steps. As you do your visualizations and affirmations and feel the strong emotions that are generated, let them go and do not obsess over them. Practice letting go of your worry, frustration, obsessive thoughts, and behaviors on a daily basis. Chapter 6. It's all about that action boss. The Marshawn Lynch Principle. As the body without spirit is dead, so, faith without deeds is dead. James 2:26. You may or may not know who Marshawn Lynch is. If you're from Seattle or are an American football fan, you probably do. Marshawn was, and still is as of this writing, the starting running back on the 2014 Super Bowl winning Seattle Seahawks NFL football team. He's famous for two things: a strong reluctance to being interviewed by the press and a punishing 150% all-out, all-the-time running style that has made him one of the premier backs in all of American football and one of the key reasons why the team won the Super Bowl in 2014. The reason I mention him is because of the interview that he gave to Deion Sanders on Media Day just prior to the Super Bowl in January 2014. Again, Marshawn has always been a man of few words, and the interview with Deion was virtually the only one he gave to anybody before the big game. When Deion asked him why he's been so reluctant to speak, his answer was direct and to the point: it's all about that action boss. In other words, sitting around talking about doing something, wishing you could do something, meaning to do something, or even worse, complaining that you should done something is going to get you nowhere. I was looking on Amazon the other day. I read a ton of ebooks, and I came across a book that just floored me. I don't remember the exact title, but it was something like, How to Sit on Your Couch in Your Underwear, Watch TV and Have the Law of Attraction Bring You Anything You Want. Now, I am a very positive person and am reluctant to criticize anyone for their beliefs. However, I respectfully submit that unless relaxing and being entertained for a few hours is what you are trying to accomplish, sitting on your couch and watching TV isn't going to get you very far. Doing nothing and expecting everything is just not how the universe works. One of the reasons I believe some people fail to see the results they are after in relation to the law of attraction is that they think that because they have asked the universe for whatever it is they want, they can then sit patiently and wait for that thing to land in their lap. Action is a form of affirmation. I've always been amazed at how lucky I get when I'm out making my own luck. I've been in sales most of my life. I was in the industrial packaging supply business for years, and I remember that whenever I was out doing the things I knew I should be doing, such as seeing the number of customers per day that I knew I should be seeing, sales would materialize. The funny thing was that they wouldn't necessarily come from the place I thought or expected they would. In other words, if I had been out and called on 20 customers on a certain day, I may not have gotten as many or any orders as I expected, but I had been in action and doing the things I knew I should be doing. Invariably, the next day, A big order would come in from some completely unexpected source. It would happen all the time. Conversely, if I had been out playing golf or having an extended lunch with a buddy or something, nothing would happen. I believe that it's very hard to vibrate the things you desire into existence when you're doing nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. Doing nothing defiantly has its place. I do it a lot these days, but it's just that when you are trying to attract something from the universe, your vibrational state is much higher when you are in action and taking actual physical steps toward that thing. This has implications beyond the world of business, of course. Let's say, for example, that you are a woman attempting to attract a great romantic relationship. If in addition to reprogramming your subconscious with positive beliefs by using affirmations and visualizations, you also took steps in that direction by tuning up your appearance as best you can, taking a class, joining a club, or letting your friends know that you're looking, you've gotten into gear to make something happen. Don't be surprised if the perfect guy materializes from some completely unexpected place or situation. Action reinforces our belief. Taking action has many very positive effects on our vibrational state. Action helps to align our thoughts with who we really are. If you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Will Rogers, in his book The Magic of Believing, Vic Johnson, says this about action. Consider someone who trains for a triathlon. They do a lot of mental preparation and visualization in order to be prepared for the big event. But training in the physical world is an active form of preparation. It's thought in motion. Try believing that you're not ready for a triathlon after you've seen yourself take the massive action of training every day for 6 months. You now have proof that your belief has translated into something tangible. Taking action signals to your subconscious that you're serious about your new beliefs. In addition to getting into action, we need to be able to expand our awareness to notice the clues that the universe will send us. Action creates a dynamic environment that will allow the universe to point the way if we pay attention and begin to notice the seemingly small and insignificant coincidences and moments of synchronicity. Sometimes people think that the law of attraction is not working when what they have been doing is stepping over or swerving around the signposts that the universe has put directly in their path that say, take action in this or that direction to get what you want. This is like the story I heard the other day of the woman at the bus station who was complaining vehemently about the fact that the bus she was supposed to get on had not arrived, that the bus line had not given her the proper schedule, and that her kids were hungry and crying. She continued to wail on and on. Meanwhile, she's standing right in front of the open door to the bus she's supposed to be getting on. She was so addicted to her story and her view of the world that she couldn't stop to notice the fact that she was actually in the right place at the right time. Is there a bus waiting to take you somewhere that you haven't stopped to notice? Or more importantly, turned around and taken the steps to get on? Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. Martin Luther King: don't be afraid to make course adjustments based on those clues the universe will give you. It's just like the old motivational speaker story of the plane that takes off from LA on its way to Chicago. The plane is in action. It's charging off in the direction of Chicago as fast it can go. However, 10 minutes into the flight, the prevailing winds have blown the plane slightly off course. Do the pilots turn around, land, pout for the rest of the day, and groan and mumble about how they were going to go to Chicago but it didn't quite work out? Of course not. They make course adjustments on the fly, and by paying attention to the course they should be on and adjusting now and again, they eventually end up in Chicago. The key is to get into action and pay attention. The law of attraction will be right there with you. giving you course adjustments and drawing the things you want towards you even as you are forging ahead towards them. Another analogy is that of the parked car. Imagine your car parked in front of your house or in your garage. There it sits, waiting to take you on your next journey. Now imagine that you go sit in the driver's seat and say, "Take me to the supermarket." What happens? Nothing. What you have to do is put the key into the ignition, start the car, put it into gear, and step on the gas. Now the car is moving. It's in action. Now, you can give it some commands and guide it to the place you want to go. You can steer a parked car. I firmly believe that the law of attraction will bring you those things you truly want, but only if you meet it at least halfway by getting and staying in action. Move confidently in the direction of your dreams. Get into action, and let the universal law be your compass. To accomplish great things, we must not only act but also dream, not only plan but also believe. Anatole France, I can hear you guys out there saying, "Man, I've been taking lots of action for years and just seem to be getting nowhere and spinning my wheels." I know because I've been there. It gets very frustrating. The thing to do is use the things we've been talking about in this book. Don't stop taking action. You might want to adjust the course a bit but keep going all the while focusing on reprogramming your subconscious to more solidly align with Source and who you really are. Then stop worrying and obsessing about it. Just believe that whatever it is that you've requested of the universe is on its way and get on with your day. Action steps. Pick the 3 most important or appropriate affirmations that you have been doing on a daily basis. Decide on at least one action step to take towards each of the 3 affirmations. Take action on each of these action steps now. Today. Do not wait another minute. Get into action. Here's an excerpt from Goals. Never set them again, and achieve more than you ever dreamed possible. A book by Cary David Richards. A man should have any number of little aims about which he should be conscious and for which he should have names, but he should have neither name for, nor consciousness concerning, the main aim of his life. Samuel Butler. A written list stuck to the bulletin board with the thumbtack is where goals go to die. We all have goals of one sort or another. Some of us are more conscious of them and strive harder to make them real than others. Many times it seems that the people that aren't trying as hard become more successful than the ones gritting their teeth and bearing down hard. There is lots of information out there concerning the making and attaining of goals, much of it conflicting and confusing, lots of it not very effective. How many books have you read, CDs have you listened to, and video courses have you taken about how to reach your goals only to have the information thrown aside and collecting dust while you wonder why you weren't able to be as successful as you'd hoped? There are reasons why some people seem to breeze through trouble and difficulty on their way to effortlessly, it seems, reaching their goals, while others toil endlessly at hard labor, never quite able to reach the carrot at the end of the string. I contend there is a better way. Lots of the information that is being published about how to reach goals is very much process-driven, making lists and setting specific time frames. Then you're told to get into action and strive very hard towards the finish line off in the distance. The only problem is, many times it seems as though the finish line is somewhat of a moving target. If you think about it, having a goal is a very organic process that really doesn't adhere to a rigid set of parameters very well. If you reach it, yay! You celebrate and move on to the next challenge. If you don't reach it within the specified time frame, what happens? Well, really not much of anything most of the time. Either you reset your goal and set to work again, this time trying really hard, or you shrug your shoulders and forget about it. Either way, it's a situation where that arbitrary finish line was really just a fleeting signpost on the highway of your ever-evolving lifelong journey. In fact, I believe that having rigid time frames can actually hinder you in the achievement of most goals. What happens is either as you get closer to the finish line, you realize that the challenge is just too great and you'll never make it in time, or you set the goal and a finish line, think about it hard for a few days, pin it to the wall, and a week later it gets covered up by the latest memo from the sales department. 3 months after the finish line expires, you find the goal sheet under all the other stuff on your bulletin board and decide that you hate setting goals because it never works. What I'm going to suggest to you is to not put a time limit on your goals, not write them in a list and post it anywhere, and not set them up as some finite project that has a start and an end to it. I know, this scares the heck out of you, but hang in there. This system has worked for me for years, and when done right can smoothly and amazingly bring you the things you want within the time frame you want them. You see, the universe tends to work on its own time scale. It will help you achieve everything you want if you work with it the right way. However, setting up artificial finish lines just seems to work against the natural order of things. But I need to lose 10 pounds before my sister's wedding in June. I can hear you're panicking from here. I know, keep reading. There are ways to accomplish your goals within time frames. We're just not going to put artificial finish lines on them. What we are going to do is first help you get very clear about what it is that you really want. Unless you want something so bad you can taste it, no system of goal setting and attainment is going to do you much good. You simply won't have the intention and focus that it takes to impact the drift of everyday life enough to make the thing a reality. I also want to make sure that the thing you want is not something that has been auto-suggested to you by your parents or society or some other external source. Follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. Joseph Campbell. We are going to distill the goal or want down into bite-sized chunks of daily or even hourly actionable exercises, and then work on reprogramming your subconscious so that you are able to easily and almost effortlessly perform these small everyday tasks and behaviors in such a way that it will ultimately create the reality of what you want without ever actually setting a goal and posting it on your bulletin board. Pretty sneaky, huh? I'm going to talk about setting yourself up for success by aligning your thoughts and feelings with the universal source so that you resonate with the thing that you want in such a way as to draw it to you. You accomplish this by feeling good. This is a very simple concept that has powerful implications. I caution you to not discount this approach. It is easy to laugh and look down your nose at such a simple and seemingly trite notion as feeling good about yourself and your goals in order to attain them. However, this concept is very much foundational to what we are going to discuss in this book. By letting go of fear, anger, frustration, and grief, you will go a long way towards freeing up the flow of energy that allows you to take proper action and ultimately arrive at your wanted destination. Reprogramming your thoughts and feelings is where we start. I'm going to have you write your wants and desires in the form of affirmations and visualizations. These are very similar to the affirmations that you are probably familiar with and may even have tried before with varying levels of success. These affirmations and visualizations are going to be subtly different, however, and I'll discuss ways to make them very powerful and creative. These affirmations must be written in the proper way and focused on and repeated on a daily basis. What I don't want you to do is set a goal that is written in the wrong way, with a definite time frame within which it must be attained, and then wring your hands and gnash your teeth over it, obsessively worrying about whether you will attain the thing you want. You must release or let go of those obsessive feelings. Frustration and worry are going to do nothing but push the thing wanted in the opposite direction. We will work with your emotions so that you can get into the right space to draw those things you want to you effortlessly. This is a system of identifying the things you really want, then breaking down those things you are striving for into small actionable steps. affirming and emotionally visualizing yourself completing those steps on a daily basis, and then releasing or letting go of the obsessive need to have whatever it is you are going after. I believe you will find it not only easier and more enjoyable, but it will also be much more efficient and successful than the traditional way of setting and attaining goals. So grab a notebook and a good pen and let's start drawing those things you want to you. If you enjoyed this excerpt from Goals, Never Set Them Again, you can grab your copy by clicking here. Please go to http://improvedmindpub.com/cdrothorpage to pre-order this book. Chapter 7 Emotions, Your Law of Attraction Guidance System. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Oprah Winfrey. For many years, I discounted the importance of feeling good. I thought it was so silly and trivial. I was being told to just feel good and good things will come. Come on. You have no idea what I'm going through, I'd say. My boss is all over me, my car payment is late, the kids are sick, the grass is getting long, and my lawnmower is busted. How am I supposed to feel good? Sound familiar? We are attached to the story of why we are stuck where we are. It all seems so real and is a very reasonable reason why we don't have what we want. It really is a simple thing. Someone once said, happiness is an inside job. In other words, it has nothing to do with all of the external problems that we all think we have. As we've discussed before, we live in a pulsating, living, intelligent universe, and the very essence of our being is vibration. Thought is nothing but vibration. Your natural universal state is one of perfect vibrational balance and harmony. Your emotions are the best interpreters of these vibrations and will give you constant feedback regarding your vibrational alignment with Source. What does that mean? It basically means that you should pay attention to your emotions, and they will tell you when you are out of vibrational alignment. When we are out of balance with this harmony, we feel bad. Conversely, if we concentrate on feeling good and have those good emotions come from a place of alignment with Source, then we are in balance and continue to feel good. What's more, those good feelings are the catalyst that energizes the universal law of attraction. Look at it this way. Obsessively worrying and wringing your hands over the stuff that isn't going right is only going to attract more stuff that isn't going right. I'll tell you a story that happened to me a few years back when I was deep into my sales career. I had been having a particularly difficult few weeks. There were circumstances that had me very worried about my financial livelihood. Things were not going well. This was before I really understood the law of attraction. It all came to a head one morning, and I was just beside myself with worry, frustration, and depression. It was about 11 a.m., and I had decided to go home for lunch. I didn't live very far from my office, and I felt like I needed some time to myself. I got into my car and drove towards my house. Feeling like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, I remember literally hanging my head as I drove. Then just as I was turning onto the street where I lived, wham! A guy drove his pickup truck right into the back of my car. I am very clear that I attracted this rear-end collision as surely as if there was a huge magnet attached to my car. I'm lucky that the universe was just giving me a little wake-up call where no one was hurt. By wallowing in my negative feelings and doing nothing to reshape my thoughts into a more positive vibration, the universe basically gave me what I'd been asking for. I want you to understand that you can just stop. Stop letting those worrying, obsessive feelings rule you. You are vibrating the stuff you are worried about right into your life. Just stop. I'll make you a deal. You can go back to worrying, cogitating, gnashing your teeth, obsessively wringing your hands, and affirming that nothing is going right in a few minutes. Just for now, can you stop and take a deep breath? Relax and put all of the negative thoughts and emotions out of your head. Again, I promise you can go back and wallow in them in a few minutes. Right now, I want you to just sit back, take a few deep breaths, and do some imagining with me. This of course is assuming you're not driving your car while you are reading this book. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Albert Einstein. Now, remember that list of things you want that we have you use to write your affirmations? Pick one of the things at the top of the list, close your eyes, and imagine the thing, situation, or person that you want to attract. Hold it in your mind's eye and notice every detail. What color is it? What does it smell like? How big is it? Where did it come from? How exactly did you acquire this thing? Got it? Just be there with it for a few moments. Okay, now imagine that you actually have this thing, situation, or person. It is wholly real and is yours right now, today. What emotions come up as a result of that thing, situation, or person being a reality? As best you can, feel as deeply as you can what it feels like to have that reality. Dig down as deep and let as much emotion come up as possible. Feel as much as you can what it is like to have your desire be a reality. Okay, right there. Hold that thought. Hold those emotions. Those are the emotions that need to be burned into your subconscious. Those emotions are what will draw that thing or situation to you through the law of attraction. We have discussed visualizations and affirmations already. You should be doing those every day or twice a day if you can. The emotions we just discussed should be the basis for the affirmations you are doing. What I want you to do here, however, is over and above the formal visualizations and affirmations we talked about. As you go through your day, I want you to try and pay attention to your negative, obsessive emotions. When you notice yourself getting spooled up about them, stop. Take a deep breath and remember the good, loving, triumphant, and courageous emotions that I just had you visualize. Do your best to replace the negative emotions with these positive and affirming emotions. Jerry and Esther Hicks of the Abraham Hicks Publications refer to this as pivoting. All throughout your day when you notice yourself getting out of alignment, just stop, give yourself a little loving pat on the butt, and refocus on the positive, loving, and courageous emotions that you feel when you imagine possessing the thing or situation you are attracting. I have decided to be happy because it is good for my health. Voltaire. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you should feel giddy and frivolous all the time and run around flinging flower petals into the air as you glide down the street. People will think you're a whack job. Never feel guilty about having negative emotions because they are a part of life. Sometimes bad things happen, such as a loved one passing away, losing your job, breaking up with your boyfriend. I mean, stuff happens, right? It's how we respond to these things that draws us either closer to vibrational alignment or further away. As time goes by, as you get better at pivoting, and as you do it with consistency and conviction, you should notice yourself feeling better and better without having to be so conscious about it. You will also notice that things are beginning to fall into place. Miraculous stuff starts to happen. Coincidences begin to occur. Pay attention. You'll be amazed. Action steps. Do your best to identify those good, higher vibrational feelings that are associated with having what you really want. Practice what Abraham Hicks calls pivoting. In other words, catch yourself having negative, limiting, obsessive, and worrying thoughts. Consciously stop and replace them with the good feeling, positive, and loving thoughts associated with actually having what you really want. Never feel guilty about having negative thoughts. They are part of life. Pay attention because the law of attraction can be very subtle. Chapter 8: The Poison of Procrastination. An ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. Friedrich Engels, with apologies to the immense shoe company from Oregon who changed the world of exercise and sports by creating a new paradigm for footwear, I have borrowed perhaps the greatest advertising tagline in the history of the world. Just do it. Procrastination is poison. It will sap the energy out of the best of us. It will take all of the inertia out of your new projects, and it is proof that your efforts to energize the law don't work. You must take action now. Get started, do something, anything, towards your goals of attracting what you want every day, starting today. Believe me, I know about procrastination. I have struggled with it my entire life. Its insidious tentacles will wrap around your subconscious and create excuse after excuse until one day you wake up and realize you've done nothing towards your goals for weeks. If used properly, the information in this book will allow the universal law of attraction to draw the things you desire to you. But not if you read it. Say to yourself, "That was interesting," put the book down, get absorbed into your hectic life once again and never utilize the information. Action is something only you can control. Myself and any or all of the other teachers, writers, educators, and purveyors of knowledge that you have received information from can do nothing but lay the instruction in front of you. It's your job to utilize the wisdom and take action on it. I know that you are sincere in your desire to positively impact your life and the lives of your family. Otherwise you wouldn't have gotten this far in this book. I also know that it's not easy starting a new regimen. So here are some tips to help you get into the habit of reprogramming your subconscious mind. Make a list. This is something I do every morning. I sit quietly for a few minutes, go over the day's activities, and make a full list of the things that need to happen. Then I go back through and prioritize the list. Some of the things may get booted off the list. Others might go into the "if I have time" category. I end up with a prioritized list that I put into chronological order. I keep this list on a clipboard that I always have within arm's length, and as I go about my day, I cross each item off the list as it gets accomplished. It can be tremendously satisfying to get to the end of a day and look at the entire list of crossed-out tasks. Break a project down into steps. Using the project management technique of breaking a huge task down into manageable steps can be very effective. Take it one step at a time. Step back from the project and distill it down into small pieces. Any large project can be broken into much smaller individual pieces. Then simply attack those smaller pieces one at a time. Pretty soon, you'll realize you've accomplished a huge task. Learn to recognize the onset of procrastination. This gets back to paying attention. When you begin to have thoughts like, "Oh well, I can do this later," or, "I could just do my affirmations tomorrow," simply convince yourself that you'll give it 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, and then you can go do whatever it was that you thought was way more important. Most of the time once you start a task you'll realize it won't be that hard to finish it up. I do this with my writing all the time. Sometimes I get up in the morning and don't feel very inspired or don't feel like writing. When I force myself to just sit down and write for 5 minutes, I usually end up writing for several hours. Eliminate distractions. This is especially important when doing your affirmations. Stopping in the middle of your session to check your friend's Facebook page is a sure way to make sure you don't finish what you've started. Turn off your cell phone, close your laptop, shut the door, and tell your family you need 20 minutes of quiet. Shutting out all of the things that are nagging at us in the information age is vitally important. You can get back on the grid in a few minutes, but just for now, you need to be alone and focus. Reward yourself. This doesn't have to be fancy or expensive. When you know you've persevered and gotten through a project or today's portion of a larger project, don't be afraid to reward yourself. Have a nice mocha latte, one of my favorites, or take yourself to a movie. When you know you've done a good job, acknowledge yourself. You must find ways to impact the drift of procrastination and bad habits. If you do, all of the abundance of the universe will be available to you, and the universal law will inexorably draw the things you desire to you without fail. Well, that's it for now. My sincere hope is that you found this information useful. I urge you to add it to the knowledge you already have and that you will continue to pursue. Use it actively in your life. Take action and never stop learning and growing. Pay attention to the subtle but very real clues and signposts that the intelligent universe will give you along the way. The law of attraction is there waiting to manifest everything you desire. Go get it. Again, I have given you some sample affirmations in Appendix A. Please reword them to fit your own situation. Thank you very much. Before you go, I'd like to say thanks again for purchasing my ebook. I sincerely hope it was of benefit to you. I know you had literally thousands of choices, but you took a chance on mine, and I want you to know I deeply appreciate it. Once again, it's my pleasure to bring you this work at a reduced price. If you found the information has been helpful, could you take a few seconds and leave a short review at Amazon? As I mentioned earlier, I depend on my readers to leave me a large quantity of quality reviews. This kind of feedback helps tremendously in enabling me to bring you and other readers the best information I possibly can. Click here to leave a review, http://improvedmindhub.com/lorview. Much love and peace, Cary David Richards. Want more great content like this book? Visit my blog at www.improvedmindhub.com and get your free gift. Appendix A. Sample affirmations. I state your name. Believe fully in my abilities and trust and have confidence in myself. I state your name. Easily and effortlessly allow dollars to flow into my bank accounts every month. Money flows through my life like a mighty river. I state your name. I'm currently in a loving and committed relationship. I am very grateful for the lifelong friendship and deep love I am currently experiencing. I state your name. Learn from my mistakes and reset my course whenever I have to. I state your name. Have control over my thoughts, feelings and choices. I state your name. Own the maroon Lexus ISC convertible with black leather seats and the wood grain dash. It looks great in my driveway. I state your name. Practice patience, understanding and compassion with others as well as myself. I state your name. I'm the new controller at XYZ Company. My new job fits my talents and experience perfectly. My new employer seems to be very satisfied with my work. I state your name. Look for humor and fun in as many situations as possible. I state your name. I'm having a fabulous time on my vacation to Maui, Hawaii. The trade winds blow in a small rainstorm every afternoon and it cools off the sand as I relax on my towel between swims in the ocean. I state your name. I'm very effective at getting things done. I quickly and efficiently complete every task I set out to accomplish.